Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where two friends get together and talk about the story behind the matches. I'm Matt.
And I'm Michael.
And welcome to Episode 8, Great American Bash 1986.
Gab, baby.
That's not the tagline.
No, it's not. It's Ringmasters.
Which is technically the same tagline for 85.
It's Ringmasters to the Ringing. Yeah. That's...
Is it the desolation of the bash?
Yeah, the desolation of Smaug.
Great American Bash 86 was the second event series produced by Jim
I like that, event series.
Crockett Productions for the NWA. Kind of the name of a tour that happened in 1986.
Oh, yeah. Super. It's July through August. It's the summer tour.
Yeah, it started July 1st, ended August 2nd. That basically had several high-caliber shows in cities such as Philly, D.C., Memphis, Charlotte, Charleston, West Carolina, West Virginia.
Was that your Dusty?
Yeah. Cincinnati, Roanoke, Virginia, Jacksonville, Richmond, Virginia, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Johnson City, Tennessee, Norfolk, Virginia, Greensboro, North Carolina, and last but not least, Atlanta.
You can't not go to Greensboro.
Exactly. That's Flair country right there. But while this tour was happening between July 1st and August 2nd, what else was happening in the world? The Statue of Liberty had just celebrated its centennial.
Have you been to the Statue of Liberty?
I have been to the Statue of Liberty.
I don't know if I walked in. I went as a...
I didn't go in.
I went as a kid. I think that we might have done like the ferry around it or whatever. It was like, I don't know. It was like the early 90s. It was like probably before I was in kindergarten. But my mother's side of the family is from Long Island. So I went there a couple times as a kid. Statue of Liberty, I mean, it's big. I've seen cooler shit.
Exactly. It's just a big stone lady.
Yeah. It's green. It's a nice color of green.
Yeah. Jinder Mahal would be born during this tour.
The modern day Maharaja.
Exactly.
But when we're the... Oh, I can't think of this. What are the brothers' names?
Singh brothers?
Singh brothers, yeah. That's all I got.
Okay.
I don't have anything to say about Jinder at all.
We probably should never have much to say about Jinder Mahal.
The only thing that
not for a couple years.
My only thought about him is that it's like how is he on TV with obvious steroid acne? That's all.
Yeah, exactly. So the video that we have for Great American Bash 86
looks like a trash.
It's not on the network.
No. And
it's basically an old VHS videotape that the NWA released. So it's out there. You can find it.
It's a highlight video.
It's basically a 2-hour highlight video. And we
get our bumpers in between.
They say that it's from all of the tour stops, but it's basically from Greensboro and from... Well, I just went blank. And Charlotte.
I'm not sure. You can tell that they're in
Greensboro and Charlotte. I'm sorry. I know it's the two North Carolina stops. It's a bunch of matches from the two spots, and I'll tell you where they're from. And so the video has also been edited. Some of the matches have been edited,
trimmed down for time.
So there's some weird cuts at places. Some you can tell, some you can't.
They're not as. I don't feel like the cuts are as egregious as they were in the 86 or 85 tape.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing: this first match that we're going to cover.
Pretty sure it's not on the tape.
Pretty sure it's not on the tape, exactly. But where we got the video from.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably the one that's out there.
This match was added on at the very beginning.
So if
no one else even mentions it during the video.
And there's there's in studio bumpers between each match where they talk about it, and there's not one that just starts right up. I thought it was weird because I
literally it looks like someone's Panasonic camera from the crowd.
That's kind of
I mean, true, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So if you find it and it starts with Flair and Hawk.
First match, Ric Flair versus Road Warrior Hawk with Paul Ellering in the corner. The match is actually for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
Which Rick has supposedly, maybe not every night, but the majority of this show, that's the thing is
he's defending his title
against like everyone
every night. It's what we're set.
Unfortunately, that's not the whole video, which would probably be kind of fun.
Exactly. So the video starts on a wide shot, which looks to be from the worst camera ever, like I just said.
Oh, this whole tape.
Then in the ring, we get some styling and profiling. Hawk uses his power to knock down Flair. It's very much a power versus Flair kind of match. Tony mentions this is actually the first stop on the Great American Bash Tour, so that would make this actually from Philadelphia on July 1st.
Ah.
So it's the only match not from Charlotte or Greensboro that we see on this tape. We get a clothesline by Hawk, but then a missed leg drop. Flair with a vertical suplex and the 2 count. But Hawk powers out of the pin, and Flair does the heel beg off of the face. Hawk press slams Flair a couple times, and then he comes off the second rope with a clothesline, but Flair moves, and Road Warrior rolls all the way out to the floor.
The outside, baby, we're outside.
Once they're back in the ring, Flair hits the running knee, and then he locks on the figure 4. And while the ref is paying attention to Hawk, Flair grabs the ropes.
I like this spot.
I mean, it's an old school.
I mean, it's old school spot, but like
heel spot.
I don't know, the angle's nice, and like I don't know. Sometimes people will do stuff, and it's like, I don't get why that would make it hurt more. But in this one, it looks like it hurts more, so I appreciate it. That's all.
The ref finally sees Flair grabbing the ropes and makes Flair break the hold, but then he gets the sleeper on. But Hawk escapes by backing Flair into the turnbuckle. We get a Flair climbing to the top rope, where he gives a woo. Do it again.
Woo! I don't know if that's good or not.
But Hawk grabs Flair and gives him a gorilla press slam.
So that's what it's called when they're
like they lift them
off the turnbuckle.
Well, no, if they lift them completely above their head, if they just kind of hold them, it's a press slam.
But so what is it when they're on the top rope, but then they grab them and throw them off?
It literally depends on how far they extend their arms.
So it's a press slam,
or gorilla press slam.
Okay.
So then another press slam, and then like a drop down right hand from like a standing spot down to a Flair.
Yeah, which is
ground.
like that's basically all that happens in these older shows when they go off the top. It's either crossbody or like basically they jump and land on their feet and punch.
Lots of axe handles.
Axe handle or like an elbow.
Yeah. We get
not an elbow to drop.
Hawk then does a clothesline and tries for the pin, but only gets a 2 count. And then a scoop slam and a spit-covered slap to the face that Hawk gives to Flair, which is a gnarly spot.
Yeah.
Irish whip gets reversed, and Hawk comes off the ropes with a shoulder block, but Flair moves, and Road Warrior hits the ref out of the ring.
Ref bump.
We get the Flair over the top spot, but he stays on the apron, runs to the top rope, and comes off with an axe handle, but is caught in a bear hug. Hawk then hits a Canadian backbreaker rack and goes for the pin. It was a move that I had never seen before.
I'm trying to remember it.
He lifted him up almost like it's on his shoulder.
Oh, okay.
Like a last ride, but instead of like over the back, it was just on the one shoulder.
Yeah, I remember this.
And then he dropped him basically like shoulder first down on his knee.
Yeah, and it looked cool as hell.
Yeah,
and I've never seen it before.
Yeah, I actually had to go look up the name of the move.
I'd like to watch that again because there's a lot of times you see stuff and you're like, well, I've seen that before. That one looks better than this one or whatever. But that was one that like caught my attention and I was like, oh, okay.
Exactly. I thought the ref was still out, but then all of a sudden it goes to the wide shot, and the entire crowd starts going crazy. Paul Ellering jumps in the ring celebrating, and then it finally cuts back into the ring, and the ref is calling for the bell. So I'm like, did the ref just count to 3? I literally have no clue what's going on. Hawk is celebrating with his arms raised, and the ref is walking towards him, has the belt in hand, grabs Hawk's hand.
It's a huge pop.
And throws it down. Yanks it down. And everyone's like, what? Walks over to Flair, grabs his arm, raises it, and hands him the belt. Everyone starts going crazy. They called for the DQ on Hawk for hitting the ref out of the ring.
Of course they did. What's funny is that like a lot of time when I'm taking notes for these matches, I'll have like in parentheses, I always put like my opinion or something. So I have like, and it's always right before some bullshit finish. I put in parentheses that like I like this match or something, and right before this bullshit happens, it's like in parentheses I like this match, and then some dog shit goes down. It doesn't mean that I don't still like it. It's just you can't always get what you want. What you want is a clean finish, and this is wrestling.
In the NWA.
Most specifically
with Dusty Rhodes as the booker. So then we get an intro package for Great American Bash 86.
So the video probably starts now.
This is where we think
I can't imagine there being a cold open for a wrestling tape.
What do they think? They are a wrestling podcast. So the video package kind of lists off all the cities they went to, and then it goes into the studio with Tony Schiavone and David Crockett. They mentioned that the tour went 14 cities, 33 days.
That's the greatest wrestling video on the market today.
Talk about some of the matches that happened during the tour. There's even some
fun montage. Yeah, there's somebody with a really cool Dusty shirt. I just wanted that shirt. I'm sure it's like $900 on eBay.
Probably.
But I want that shirt.
We go to our second match.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about these shows that are so like, I don't know if the crowd's as loud as they sound, but they're so loud that it just sounds like the best party ever. Like it's like I want to go so bad because it's just like bananas.
People were just so like into it
at the time.
Then.
I don't know, man. I just want to go. Like everyone's losing their shit. You can't even see the crowd when they're just going nuts. You can hear them the whole time.
Yeah,
and it sounds like a blast.
So second match, Jimmy Valiant versus Shaska Watley, with Paul Jones in his corner.
We get some VHS warp.
Yeah,
to start this match
in a hair versus hair match. And Tony, actually, before the match started, he kind of told us a little bit of the story behind the match. Shaska had cut a portion of Valiant's hair, and Valiant wanted revenge, but not just against Watley, but against all of Paul Jones and his army. But the part Tony doesn't tell us is the reason Shaska came after Valiant. The Boogie Woogie Man had called Watley the best black athlete in professional wrestling, and Shaska took that as a racial comment.
You should have.
Why can't he just be the best athlete?
Why can't he just be one of the best athletes?
Because Steamboat's not around in NWA anymore.
No.
Well, maybe he was the best athlete then. But this match happened in Charlotte on July 5th. And we see Valiant take a golf cart to the ring. And then he jumps in the ring and goes after Jones. But Shaska hits him to take control. Shaska's given some headbutts. By the way, Shaska looks like a cheap version of JYD.
Yeah. He is very, like, I know they're black guys that both do headbutts. So it's like, it feels lame to compare them, but they're also both kind of babies.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it is what it is. I like that both these men are pretty animated.
We're going to take that as a racial comment.
Pretty animated. I mean, race is a thing.
So Valiant goes after Shaska in the corner, but Watley, with the double leg takedown, gets his feet on the ropes for leverage, but the ref sees it. So we don't get the fast pin on this one. Valiant blocks the headbutt and begins to Hulk up, for a better term.
Yeah.
And hits,
power up.
And hits Shaska, but Paul Jones hits him as he is coming off the ropes. So I got a question real fast. Is Paul Jones going for the dictator thing here? Because he literally had like the mustache and a riding crop.
Yeah, I don't know. Because like Jimmy Valiant isn't... who knows what Paul Jones is doing here.
But Valiant gets busted open. Jones hits Valiant again while he's on the ropes. Valiant gets put in the Tree of Woe at one point where Shaska is kicking him, and then the ref pulls him away, and then Paul Jones like grabs his neck and starts just cranking on it back. It was a cool looking spot. Watley wraps the apron around Valiant's head at one point. And then,
I mean, the apron is still used today. So
exactly.
We can shake our heads, but it's still a thing.
All of a sudden, the crowd started chanting "Weasel."
Yeah.
Which I had no clue what that was about.
I'm trying to start a Weasel chant. I mean, they were calling Valiant a Weasel or Paul Jones? I mean, Paul Jones.
That's the thing, is I don't know who they were calling a Weasel at this point.
I guess Paul Jones they were calling a Weasel
Maybe.
Because he's the manager.
But all of Shaska's pin attempts, he keeps trying to pin. They're super lazy, and I love that the commentators just kept calling him out on it as well. Shaska starts dancing and then goes for a big elbow drop, but Valiant moves, and Valiant finally gets on offense when Jones jumps up on the apron, but Valiant turns and knocks him down. Valiant puts a sleeper on Shaska, but as he does it, Shaska grabs the ref and like kind of tosses him to the side, so we get the ref bump, which brings in Baron von Raschke, who's a new guy for all of us.
Yeah.
Basically is a militant German, character. Runs in, hits Valiant, but Raging Bull Manny Fernandez jumps in the ring and goes after Baron. And then Shaska's choking Bull, and then Baron has this glove that he basically does.
Your loaded glove.
Loaded glove, but he like does the claw with it. That was his finisher type thing. I guess he lost it in the scuffle, and Valiant picks it up, puts the glove on, and hits Shaska and gets the pin. So post-match,
we gotta shave that head.
We get Sam Houston.
Oh yeah, no, I do have that. Sam Houston shows up. I wish that Sam Houston wrestled on this show. Spoiler alert.
But he shows up, starts hitting Baron. A few more wrestlers come in to hold Shaska, and Valiant shaves his head.
I was trying to figure out who all was there, but the only name they said was Houston, and the quality on this video wasn't so hot.
Pretty much. Valiant screams at Jones that he's next as he was doing it. Shaska finally wakes up and
he freaks out. He sells it pretty well.
Yeah, he does do a good job of freaking out. And it sends back to Tony and David. Tony tells us that Paul Jones was so mad that he would put his hair on the line against Valiant later in the tour, and that it had been a year since Jones had been in the ring, fully transitioning to being a manager at this point, which leads us right into our third match.
There was a comment about Shaska's hair where somebody said grab another Brillo pad, and I was like, that's pretty fucking gnarly. So that's all I got. But continue, sorry.
So the third match, we get another Jimmy Valiant match.
JVPJ.
This one's against Paul Jones. Baron von Raschke's in his corner in another hair versus hair match.
Oh, yeah. So this was like later on the tour.
So this was...
I wonder how they like let people know that, because obviously they're telling a story, but this isn't on television. So like, how do people in the crowd know that this has weight, or do they just think that this is a dumber thing than the thing that just happened?
I'm guessing this is the second, because I have no clue.
Or is this the match or does this match happen right after that match? Because that's silly too.
No, it doesn't. Because later in the night. The first match happened July 5th.
Mm-hmm.
This match happened July 26th in Greensboro.
And okay, so it's like, but
so
yeah,
it's a completely different
like,
city.
Who are these stories?
3 weeks later.
At this point, who's the storytelling for? Is my question, because it's like people talk about the storytelling in wrestling, but it doesn't matter if it's long term if no one can see it.
Exactly.
So I was just curious.
Maybe they did a highlight package on one of the TV shows or something.
It's hard to tell because like these tapes that we were watching don't even have like highlight packages sometimes.
It's true.
Or like pay-per-views. So
who knows? But this match luckily starts mid-match into it. Valiant's hitting Jones with a foreign object as we begin.
FO.
We get the wobbly elbow drop. And Baron jumps on the apron. Baron throws Jones his black glove, and Paul puts it on. But Valiant pulls a glove as his own out of his trunks, puts it on, and hits Jones on top of the head. Valiant goes for the pin, but Baron runs into the ring, and then Raging Bull jumps in to stop him, which distracts the ref, so the pin's not being counted. Shaska then jumps in the ring with a chair and hits Valiant, and then rolls Jones on top of the Boogie Woogie Man. The ref turns around, sees the pin attempt, counts to 3 for the Paul Jones victory.
It's at least it's quick because the finish was fun.
So post-match,
both guys getting their gloves.
Exactly.
I mean, at least that was like at least some amount of tension.
So post-match, Fernandez is arguing with the ref. We get Sam Houston, some other wrestlers pleading with the ref, being like, that's not right. That's not right. Lots of posturing until Valiant finally takes a seat in the middle of the ring and takes the hair shaving like a man.
Yeah, they both do.
And then Valiant gives crazy eyes.
Yeah, he's like Valiant. His like crazy eyes while he's getting his head shaved are pretty good. Both these guys are very entertaining, but they're not great wrestlers. Like they're both very fun to watch. They're both very animated. They both have that like the it factor that some great amazing wrestlers don't have, which is that you want to see their face and they have a personality that's outside of their voice. It's a match.
Exactly. So we head back to David and Tony. The next match, two hard hitters. The next match, fourth match, Ron Garvin with Wahoo McDaniel in his corner versus Tully Blanchard with J.J. Dillon in his corner in a taped fist match. And kind of the story behind this match, which David and Tony let us know, is that Ron Garvin had a hurt right hand. And so he was taping it up, because that's what you do when you have hurt appendages. But he continued to wrestle, and Tully Blanchard and J.J. Dillon called for him to have to remove the tape to wrestle. So instead of having to remove the tape, they just decided to make it a taped fist match.
Which means...
And they set it up like a boxing match with 10 3-minute rounds.
So it's like a half shoot fight?
With a 30-second rest period between. Yeah, it's basically... It's set up like a boxing match, but it ends up almost being more like a last man standing match.
Yeah, it's definitely a timed brawl.
Exactly. But this match is actually July 26th in Greensboro. Tully attacks before the bell, gets backdropped, and Tully is already out of it with just the backdrop, which is kind of like...
He's Tully
Blanchard.
Kind of silly. He's Tully Blanchard.
But it's Tully Blanchard.
He should be able to go a lot further than that.
I mean... What did it take? It took a microphone and a steel cage and a wooden spike to get him to quit against Magnum TA. But a backdrop knocks him out, guys.
Yeah. They did. The parallels between this and that I Quit match, I'm drawing now.
Yeah. So once he gets up, they wait for him to get up. And then the ref finally calls for the bell. So the first round, Garvin just throwing punches. Tully's continuously knocked down in the round. When Tully finally does get up, he's wildly swinging.
Yeah, he
almost hits the ref.
He sells himself being like completely out of it. Like, yeah, it's like he basically looks like a blackout guy somebody blackout drunk trying to fight in a room full of nobody. Like everyone's just kind of. But he does a good job of it.
As the bell rings, Tully is knocked down once again, but no 10 count as we're in the rest period. I'm not going to score this one because it's not a boxing match.
And, the rest period is just him on the ground most of the time.
Literally, it's the thing.
It doesn't make a lick of sense.
So, you got 30 seconds, and then the second round starts. Tully is still down on the mat, and that's when they start the 10 count.
There's not really any rhyme or reason to this at all. They're like, oh, just go out there and,
throw punches.
Yeah, it's like they gave him the idea. It's like, you're going to be real hurt and not know where you are. Just sell that.
Garvin continues to just lay it on Tully. Tully swings at the ref again at one point. Tully, so much blood on his face at this point, just from all the Garvin punches to the head.
Yeah.
As the bell rings, Garvin actually low blow kicks Tully. And then in the rest period, Tully's back over in his corner, and he's getting his hand retaped. And I really felt like Dillon
weighted it.
Put something in his tape.
But it doesn't pay off.
But it doesn't ever pay off.
Because I was like, okay, cool, I see what you're doing here. And then it's kind of like the plaid pants.
Yeah, exactly.
It's less
at WrestleMania
but it's way less subtle than that because you actually they kind of zoom in as far as you can call this a zoom in.
Yeah. So the third round starts. Tully finally gets on the offense as he pulls Garvin into the corner and begins to stomp on him. Tully comes off the second rope, but they catch each other with right hands for the double KO spot. Tully rolls out of the ring and grabs Garvin to pull him out. And this is where Wahoo McDaniel gets involved, giving an atomic drop to Tully right into a punch from Garvin, which was a really cool spot. Bell rings with Tully out on the floor. And once again, 10 count doesn't happen during the rest period.
Yeah.
So the fourth round starts. Tully is still struggling to get back in the ring. Garvin is back in control of this match. Tully's about to fall down a couple times, but Garvin just keeps holding him and then pushing him off the ropes.
That was great. That was so good. He does it a couple of times, but he's just He's like leaning into him and holding him up, and then decks him and does it again. And there's some true moments in this quote unquote match.
Tully's out at this point, and it looks like he's going to have the 10 count, but all of a sudden Dillon crawls under the ropes, causing the ref to stop the count so he can get Dillon out of the ring. Wahoo comes over, and Dillon throws water in his face, and as everyone's distracted, throws something in to Tully.
It's the FO.
Garvin goes to the outside to chase Dillon, but Dillon ends up running back into Wahoo, who puts him into the ring post. Garvin back in the ring, and Tully hits him with the object, knocking him down for the first time.
I mean, he sells it pretty well.
Yeah.
Because he does it's kind of like a top of the head job, right?
Yeah. The ref makes it to the 10 count, and Tully is the winner. I didn't mention this a while ago, but we've seen Ron Garvin before. Do you remember where we saw Ron Garvin before?
Ron Garvin, this is your life. No, who was Ron Garvin before?
Miss Alana Lively.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a better showing.
Definitely.
I'm glad that.
I think the next time we see Ron Garvin, he's challenging for the world title. So after this, we go back to David and Tony. They preview the next match. Basically, this match is the Road Warriors don't like Russians.
They're called the Road Warriors, but why are they also called Legion of Doom? Is Legion of Doom like a greater? I think
Legion of Doom was actually their tag titles, and they were actually called Road Warrior Hawk and Road Warrior Animal.
But the Road Warriors sound so much better than Legion of Doom, and it's very convoluted. And Legion of Doom later is more people, right?
Yeah, they
use the name later.
They use the name later because there's Legion of Doom 2.0 or something like that.
Wasn't
LOD 2000?
Isn't there a point where isn't Shark or whatever part of the LOD?
I don't remember. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So this match happened on July 5th. The Road Warriors Hawk and Animal with Paul Ellering versus the Russians, Nikita and Ivan Koloff, in a Russian chain match, which basically means that Hawk and Nikita are chained together, and Animal and Ivan are chained together.
Would it be more interesting if the two tag team guys were if you were chained to your partner? You're obviously not fighting him, but you can only go as far, so you guys have to work together.
I thought it'd be
interesting. Which would be really hard to do.
Be interesting to have all four of them chained all together, so it's a big circle.
I'm not sure.
Then you couldn't use your right or left hand.
There's probably a way to make any of this good.
I don't think either one of our ideas
are better. I don't think any of our ideas are better, but I'm just saying,
It's no Body the Bat and the Debutante.
No, that's the best idea we've had so far.
I don't know. Keith Larson Fan Club is pretty good, too. As Michael texted me earlier, how do you write notes for a chain match?
For real.
This is how.
Especially, on a grainy VHS tape. It looks like butt. It's hard to look at.
There's lots of hitting back and forth.
Yeah.
Choking with the chain.
I mean,
Ivan gets press slammed by Animal for a 2 count. Nikita and Hawk on the outside while Ivan low blows Animal for a 2 count. The Russians start double teaming each member of the Road Warriors. We see Hawk come off the second rope with the chain to the top of Nikita's head, then goes and hits Ivan to pull him off of Animal. Animal gives a drop kick on Ivan, but then Nikita pushes Hawk into the ref, sending him out to the floor. Nikita then comes from behind to hit Hawk out onto the floor as well. Hawk's out on the floor, the ref's out on the floor, Nikita's still up in the ring, and he unhooks himself from the chain, and then runs over and gives Animal, who's fighting with Ivan in the opposite corner, a Russian sickle. Ivan goes for the pin, but realizes that the ref is not there. And good storytelling here, while Ivan goes to the pin, Nikita actually rushes back over to hook himself back in.
I noticed that.
And so the ref is actually having to crawl over Nikita, and that's why he's not getting to the pin in time. So Ivan gets up and goes to the top rope. And while he's on the top rope, Paul Ellering jumps up on the apron, pushes him off the top rope, makes him crotch himself on the top rope, and falls right in front of Animal, who covers him for the pin. And post-match, Nikita ends up giving Russian sickles to Animal and Paul Ellering. They give a clothesline with the chain to Hawk, but then Animal finally gets up and helps clear the ring as the Russians just kind of run off.
That's how you take notes on a chain match.
And that's how you do that.
On a Russian chain match.
Not just a regular chain match.
It's a Russian chain match. I like it's a Russian chain match because they're the bad guys. Why can it be a tag chain match or
can it just be a Road Warrior chain match?
Yeah.
Probably have more spikes.
Yeah. What would have been really nice if in Fury Road we got a Road Warrior Hawk and Animal spot. Why not? Why not throw them in, like in the back, like at least an homage to them in a Mad Max movie.
So we're gonna head back to David and Tony, and they start talking about the Rock and Roll Express. They have a charisma, not just in the ring, but on stage as well.
Oh, yeesh.
And we go to clips of Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson singing with a band.
They're like in a cowboy bar. I assume it's like a cowboy bar where there's like a cover, and they're just
I don't know. It may just be like a stage that was set up at the rink.
Yeah, I guess because you can't see them.
And they're having a concert like after the show.
But they're like obviously kind of like the glorified background singers. Like they're up front, but they're just like singing the chorus.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised that not only is like there's more than one camera shot for it. So I'm like, what is this? Because like, there's even a camera shot from behind the drum kit at some point, like up in the angle, and I'm like, what the hell is this? They're also singing country music, and they're called
the Rock and Roll Express.
It's like,
but they're from Tennessee, so
yeah, I know. I just thought it was funny. But the Rock and Roll Express are the hottest tag team at this time. On their way.
I mean, there's quite a few good tag teams at this time.
But I mean, like hottest is in popularity, not like the
best.
Yes,
they are very popular at this time.
We all know that just because it's hot doesn't mean it's good.
So David and Tony start previewing the next match once we're back to them. Who's the best tag team? Say Rock and Roll Express are 2-time champions, but the Andersons have held the titles more times and longer than anyone.
The Minnesota Wrecking Crew.
So we got our 6th match, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, which is Ole and Arn Anderson, versus the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, for the number 1 contendership for the NWA World Tag Team Championships. It's not for the belts. It's to be the number 1 contender. And this is from July 26th. And we see a drop kick by Gibson on Arn, and then one to Ole, which leads to all 4 men in the ring before the Andersons go to the outside to take a breather. Arn going after Morton's nose as the Anderson had broken it at one point, so it was good storytelling there. Morton with the flapjack and a DDT on Arn.
Hey, yeah, the DDT. I was curious how long the DDT had been around, because we all know it's synonymous with Jake.
Snake, yeah.
And he's kind of on his come up as far as like national stage goes.
We get our first mention of the 4 Horsemen in this match, which had kind of started after Starrcade the previous year, so a couple episodes ago. Kind of started after that. Ole pushes Morton into the corner and tags in Arn, but Morton escapes to the outside, and I believe this is where the edit comes.
Yeah.
Because it, like...
Is that where it warped real hard?
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, this is a VHS tape rip. So.
And then Gibson runs in, hits Ole, while Morton kicks and body slams him. Body slam on Arn as well before Ole gets up to drive Morton back into the corner. And Ole starts distracting the ref, so Arn pulls Morton out to the floor and hits him in the nose.
Yeah, so I like that.
Just continue to work on that nose.
I really enjoy it's wrestling. You gotta attack a part of their body, and they're gonna have to sell it. But the fact that it's the nose was kind of like, when was the last time you saw somebody sell a nose?
Exactly.
Like it's like, yeah, him protecting his face, but he still needs to fight. So I thought that was kind of fun.
And so you can hear Tony commentating, and his fellow commentator is like barely audible. Like you can tell he's talking, but you can't understand a word he's saying. We get some double team moves by the Anderson, which brings Gibson in, and the ref is distracted, so Arn sends Morton over the top, which back in the NWA would be a DQ.
Oh, if they go over the top rope?
If they go over the top rope. So Arn goes out to the floor.
What is with the NWA and their all the
traditional rules?
The gimmick, but with that many gimmicks. And
but this is a real match. There's no gimmick to this one.
First time for everything.
So Arn goes to the floor, grabs a camera, and starts wrapping it around Morton's nose.
And like it looks, I mean, it's like a strap from like an old, like it's not a digital camera. No. It's 1986, but it looks like the camera that like 35 millimeter that my mom had when I was a kid.
Exactly.
And the strap is so thin. It was a fun spot.
They're back in the ring, and as Morton is about to make the tag, Arn does the heel thing, rushes over, hits Gibson to keep the tag from not happening.
We need that hot tag.
Gibson wants to get in to retaliate, but the ref stops him, which allows the Andersons to do some double team moves in the opposite corner. Arn tags in Ole, who goes to the top rope, while Arn holds Morton's arm out. Ole comes off with a knee to the shoulder. So they start working over the shoulder. Arn tries to ram Morton's head into the turnbuckle, but Morton reverses it, sending Arn to the ground. Morton gets the flying crossbody for the 2 count, and Arn Irish whips Morton into the corner, rushes in to attempt a Bronco Buster, but Morton moves. Arn tags Ole, and as Ole reaches Morton, Ricky leaps to get the hot tag. And now during this entire time, you can hear the announcer in the background counting down, like, 4 minutes left, 3 minutes left.
Oh, really? I didn't catch it.
Because there was a time limit to this match. They didn't tell us what it was at the beginning because obviously it's edited. Plus, then it's also edited, so we didn't get a real feel for how long the match really was. Literally, I
hope it wasn't 60 minutes.
As Gibson gets in, I think there was like a minute and a half left.
Okay.
So Gibson hits the double knobbing knocker, and then he slaps on the sleeper on Arn as Morton and Ole are brawling. And then all of a sudden, the bell rings.
What was this, an NWA match?
Yes, it was. Post-match, Gibson grabs a chair, clears the ring, and then the official announcement comes over and says the match was declared a draw. So we still don't have a number 1 contender for the tag team championships. We head back to David and Tony, and they start talking about Magnum TA and Nikita Koloff's 7-match series that's been set up over this tour.
And it's for the vacated United States Championship.
Yeah.
So it's a best of 7 throughout this tour.
Yeah. Basically, I think they fought one night, and then they would have like a tag match or another opponent.
Why was it vacated?
Because
bring it on, bud. I know you have the answer.
Magnum TA had been stripped of the championship due to his actions during a press conference. He'd basically gotten all riled up and done some stuff, and Bob Geigel, who was the president of the NWA at the time, said those were actions detrimental to the NWA, stripped him of the title.
I wonder what really happened, though.
It's called wrestling. Kayfabe, baby.
Yeah, I just want to know what really happened. Did he show up late to a bunch of shows? Show up loaded? Did he actually deck the boss?
I don't remember.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe nobody knows. That's kind of what's amazing about wrestling sometimes.
So, therefore, we get this 7th match. Not the 7th match of the series. Our 7th match of the show that we're
It's the 4th match of the 7-match series.
But this is the 4th of the 7 matches between Magnum TA and Nikita Koloff in this best of 7 series. Nikita leads 3-0 at this point. So TA has his back against the wall. And it's a very back and forth match with neither man really having a power advantage. Magnum's being very cautious and trying not to make a mistake. We see Nikita scoop slam TA into the ropes, and then Nikita continuously throwing Magnum out of the ring onto the floor. We see Ivan get involved at one point by kicking him. Another time he rolls out and he lands real close to the ring steps.
Yeah.
And almost looks like he hits his head.
It looks good. Also, I like that, when they're talking shit before the match starts, Nikita just holds up the 4 fingers, and that was a nice touch.
Yeah. He was like 1, 2, 3, 4.
It looks good.
Nikita's trying to get Magnum back into the ring. Magnum does a sunset flip over the ropes, but Nikita is holding on to the ropes to try not to be flipped over.
Uh-huh.
And the ref kicks his arms, and TA completes the pin for the win. And so it's now 3-1.
I know. There's a lot of good, catch wrestling, stuff in this match. And I know that we talked about this match really quickly, but I liked this a lot for an NWA match. I really liked it a lot. And it's not a lot to say because it's a lot of catch stuff, and it's more exciting to watch than it is to talk about, which is kind of rare.
I know. I wrote my notes, and then I was like,
there's more. Yeah, and I was looking at mine too, and I was like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here.
But I mean, it's just it was good technical wrestling by TA, I mean, Nikita was still Nikita wasn't the greatest technical wrestler.
No, but he showed
held
up.
His own.
Yeah, he showed up. He didn't drag it down.
I mean, so the notes seem like it wasn't much of a match, but it was a really good match actually.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
So back to David and Tony in the studio. They preview the next match, which is the America's Team and Baby Doll versus the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette. And the reason for this match, Jim Cornette had hurt Baby Doll a few months prior, and she wanted revenge.
How did he hurt her?
I don't know. But somehow he hurt her, and she wanted revenge. So, America's Team, I didn't mention this. This is the 8th match of our show. America's Team's Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA. So, like I was saying...
And Baby Doll. She's in the ring.
But like I was saying in the last match, Magnum TA and Nikita, they had 7 matches. But on the other nights... They would have
it's like a 13-night thing.
Yeah. Versus the Midnight Express, which is Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey at this point. And Big Bubba Rogers is in their corner.
I don't know anything about Big Bubba Rogers, but...
You don't know who Big Bubba Rogers is?
I don't, but give me 1 second. And then drop it on me and I'm going to feel dumb, and it's fine. But we always have the graphics in between on this tape, but they show Big Bubba Rogers outside of the ring, and they actually take the image and put it over the live image, and it says Big Bubba Rogers and clip art letters on top of him, and I thought that was really funny that they took the time to do that. But who's Big Bubba Rogers?
Big Boss.
He's Big Boss Man?
He's Big Boss Man.
He looks bigger here, but I guess it's a shitty tape, and it's kind of from far away.
He had loose clothing on, too.
Yeah. He his Big Boss Man is always a big guy, but he just kind of looks like a cop, but he doesn't look like a very big... He just kind of looks like he's never as big as you... I don't know. For a name Big Boss Man, he's not all that... Big. He doesn't look that big. He might be that big, because some guys are bigger than you think they are.
It's very true.
Yeah, it's like when Randy Orton stands in front of AJ Styles, he looks like he's 9 feet tall. And it's crazy, but... I
stood next to Razor Ramon one time, and it was like, oh my god, this dude is huge. And Razor Ramon is small compared to some people.
Yeah, I mean, Razor Ramon looks small because he's standing next to Kevin Nash. He's legit 7 foot. Exactly. So, but yeah.
But this match is in a steel cage. We love these tag team matches in steel cages.
Oh, yeah, because they're so easy to follow.
So this match was on July 5th. As one of the commentators pointed out, because he was all for women's rights, it's not a 6-man tag. It's a 6-person tag.
I have a note about that. That's the most woke shit.
I know, right? I was like, we're in 1986 and the commentator just...
I know. I'm not even born yet, and they didn't... Yeah, and they didn't even call Baby Doll a whore. A 6-person match.
So Cornette wants to start it off with Baby Doll, but then Eaton rushes Baby Doll, and she gives a arm drag to him, which looked really good.
It looked pretty good. Also, Cornette looks like Pear in a NWA Wolfpack t-shirt. I
was like, did Andy Kaufman ship him?
Yeah, exactly.
Ship him his tights.
He's a very pear-shaped man. He's like skinny fat. Yeah. It's pretty great. We
see Rhodes send Eaton into the cage at one point. Cornette climbs to the top rope to try and hide, which I was like, what are you hiding from there? Because we can all see you standing up above everybody. We get some weird editing, and then all of a sudden, Magnum TA's down, and Cornette goes to give him a big elbow drop, but misses. Or was he anywhere close to Magnum TA when he came down?
He took the bump.
Exactly. Magnum tags in Baby Doll, and Cornette runs away to tag in Eaton, but then both members of the Express get pounded on by America's Team. Eaton rakes TA's eyes, Cornette gets a shot in, and then Eaton sends Magnum into the cage. Eaton goes to the top of the cage, not just the top of the ropes, but the top of the cage, and comes down with a single sledgehammer to the top of the head. It wasn't an axe handle, it was a sledgehammer.
The sledgehammer was one hand.
Yeah, exactly.
An axe handle was 2 hands.
So Condrey then sends TA into the cage again, and he's busted open. Oh, wait. Is this the 8th match, and this is the first blood on an NWA show?
No, I think there's more color in here.
But is it the first blood that we've had?
On this show? Is it? I don't know.
I think it might be.
We'll talk. We'll do our research before we finish the show.
Eaton goes to the top of the cage again, and as he comes down, we get some VCR. The video pretty much goes weird, so we don't see exactly what happens.
Not too hot.
But Eaton is stunned, and then we get a sunset flip by TA, but the pin attempt is broken up by Condrey. Dusty comes in to brawl with Condrey, and then Baby Doll starts beating on Cornette. Cornette gets stuck between all three members, Dusty, Magnum, and Baby Doll, and Baby Doll gives him a right hand and pins Cornette for the win.
This is my hot take. I should probably save it for the end of the show, but why couldn't this just been Cornette versus Baby Doll?
Because I'd rather watch Valiant and Paul Jones.
Yeah, but like Dusty only entered the ring for like 10 seconds. I feel like that the Cornette Paul Jones match could have been a fun thing, and it would have been him getting his or doing something shitty to the girl, and it would have been fun. But this just seemed like a bit of a cluster. It's like, well, we have this cage on tour, we should probably use it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So and I'm sure that there was I know that this is just matches from this tour, but I feel like that maybe this one could have been cut.
Well, they technically did the same exact match on a different stop, but it was the Road Warriors and Baby Doll versus the Midnight Express. And
no one was going to tweet him about it.
Exactly. So post-match, Rhodes and Baby Doll are hugging, but as they are, the Midnight Express knock TA out. And then Dusty and Big Bubba start yelling at each other. Dusty comes out of the ring, and as they're about to confront each other, the Express hits him from behind. And Bubba's just laying it on Dusty until Magnum finally escapes the ring to come to his aid. We head back to David and Tony, and everything we have seen so far has led up to one thing: Ric Flair. They let us know that Flair has fought Road Warrior Hawk, Road Warrior Animal, Morton, Gibson, Nikita, Ron Garvin,
Wahoo?
Magnum TA, Wahoo, and one last man he has to face, Dusty Rhodes. So the 9th match of the night, Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair.
Are they both two? No, Ric is in his 3rd reign.
Yes.
And Dusty's had 2.
2. Correct.
So that's basically the story.
Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair steel cage match for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. We get a promo from Dusty.
What'd I do, Beth?
This match was from the July 26th tour stop.
So it's early in this show?
In Greensboro. No, this is the second to last stop.
Oh, okay. I thought it was July through August.
It was.
So it's like it only did like 1 week in August?
Yeah, August 2nd was the only date that they did in August.
Okay. That's a lot of shows. I just assumed that it was more spread out. But you got
14 cities in a month and a day.
I know, no. I just thought it was going to be over 14 cities across 2 months. So
no. Flair gives the crowd a woo to start. And then both guys do some styling and profiling, getting it on right there in the middle of the ring. Some right hands, bionic elbow from Rhodes sends Flair looking to escape from the ring, but he can't because he's in a steel cage.
It's a steel cage, baby.
We get a scoop slam by Dusty, which leads to punches in the corner, but the ref stops Dusty to warn him about closed fists, which allows Flair to hit a low blow with his knee. Dusty ends up slapping on a sleeper, but Flair escapes by reaching the ropes. Rhodes is running the ropes, but Flair catches him with a punch right to the midsection, which leads to a woo as Dusty is sent into the cage to bust him open.
Oh, yeah.
We get a running knee drop for a 2 count, and then Flair rubs Dusty's face into the cage using his cheese grater.
The cheese grater is great, but when he rubs his forehead across the rope?
Oh, yeah.
That happens a few times in this match, but for some reason, I really enjoy it.
Flair gives another running knee drop as he begins to work on Rhodes' leg, and he locks on the figure 4, but Dusty is able to roll it over.
Yeah, but it takes some time.
It does. So Flair with another running knee drop, but to the head of Rhodes this time, and Dusty is kind of like leaning on the ropes. He looks out of it, and Flair is measuring him up, like gonna go for something, and then all of a sudden Dusty leaps off of the ropes with the lariat and goes for the pin.
And they call it a lariat, which I liked.
But Flair gets his leg on the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
Flair starts climbing to the top of the cage to escape, which in the NWA, which we discussed this last week, you can't do to win a match in the NWA. You have to get the pin in the ring.
Which I kind of like that. It's like, this is the cage. You can't go anywhere. No one can help you. You're in there on your own. Let's do this.
It's true.
I feel like that's a really good reason.
But sometimes the escaping from the ring is kind of fun.
Yeah. No, it can be fun. But I feel like that, considering it's all gimmicks a lot of the time in the NWA, I feel like that they kind of get this one right from a psychology standpoint.
I agree.
Conceptually.
Dusty catches up with Flair, rams his head into the top of the cage, and then Dusty busts open Flair by throwing him into the cage, rubbing his face in the cage. Once again, Flair tries to climb up and over. Dusty rams his head back into the cage again.
You talking about the corner of the cage
the corner
spot? Yeah. Because Ric Flair gets his big yell. He yells no a lot, and it's fun.
And then we get a headbutt off the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
Which sends Flair off, and he crotches himself on the ropes as he comes down. Flair is on the ropes. Dusty goes to punch him, but Flair moves, and he ends up punching the cage itself. They don't really ever use that as they never sell that at all the rest of the match.
Which was it's kind of weird because it's a cage. It's like a chain link fence.
Yeah.
It's not a piece of steel. So if I punched a chain link fence, no matter how hard I punched it, maybe it'll scrape my hand up, but it's not gonna hurt my hand.
Exactly.
I don't know how to throw a punch correctly, but even if I put my weight into it, it's not gonna.
Flair goes to the top rope, but Dusty recovers to be able to press slam him, and then Dusty locks on the figure 4 himself.
Yeah, and they do I love the spot whenever somebody's in figure 4 and they're resting for a second, so their shoulders land, but they're not technically pinned, and then the ref starts counting. I'm a sucker for it. It's fun, and it adds tension to it. It's you can eye roll it, but for some reason it always adds to the drama, and I enjoy that.
He escapes finally by reaching the ropes, and then we get a Flair flop after some Dusty chops. Flair goes for a backbreaker, but Dusty reverses it into a backslide for 2.
The backslide. Where's the more backslides, less small packages?
We'll see.
That's just me in general. I'm not talking about
just this match.
This match or anything at all. I'm just saying I wouldn't mind seeing more backslides.
We then get an Irish whip, which turns into a Dusty lariat and a big elbow drop for another 2 count. Flair again to the top rope, hits the crossbody. Again, 2 count. Flair's thrown into the cage, and Dusty kind of bounces off the cage.
Yeah, for another 2 count.
And another 2 count. And then Dusty misses an elbow drop, and as Flair is picking Rhodes up, we get the infamous small package.
I know. Irony if it's a small package from Dusty Rhodes?
I don't know how to answer that.
Sorry.
With the small package, we get and new post-match.
It's good. It was. Oh, what's the post-match?
Magnum, Baby Doll, and a bunch of others rush the ring to celebrate, and the video starts to go slow-mo with music, and we get insert shots of what happened during the match.
And some of it's from matches that we didn't actually watch.
Well, no. And then all of a sudden, it switches to a video package of the entire tour.
Okay.
Yeah. It was these
it's like the finish.
It was like Memento, all of us, or the one, a film reel with the one thing clipped in, so it's showing the same thing. But there was one. One thing of Flair. It was blink and you miss it, but you get subconsciously you got it, and that kind of thing. But then we get a video package of the entire tour as the credits roll.
And it's the cut is awesome, and the music is it sounds like the pause music from an old video game.
Yeah,
it's kind of it's nice. It's kind of grating, but in a familiar way. Well, I guess we're gonna go through the show, so I'll hold my thoughts on this match.
Well, let's go straight to it. Overall thoughts of this show.
Better than I expected.
I really enjoyed this show.
Yeah, like I said, it's better than I expected. It was better than I expected.
Yeah.
For we've had some NWA shows where I'm ugh, quit bleeding. Which is crazy because, I mean, I watched wrestling. I fell in love with wrestling in the Attitude Era where I was just like, all I wanted was blood and I didn't care about technical ability. All I wanted was soap opera, the craziest, silliest thing in blood. And nowadays I'm just like, where's a wrestling move? But I can appreciate the other stuff.
We get 2 Flair, we get 2 Dusty matches,
honestly,
we get 2 Magnum TA matches. I mean, we do get 2 Jimmy Valiant matches, but okay. So we get the good with the bad.
But Jimmy Valiant is still a showman. He's not a great wrestler, but he's fun, and I understand why people like him. He's kind of like the wacky neighbor from a sitcom, which we could add him to.
Yeah, I mean everything on this show is pretty much a gimmick fest. You have hair versus hair matches. You have Russian chain matches. You have steel cage matches.
Yeah. A steel cage match that doesn't need to be a steel cage match.
Exactly. I mean, everything had a little bit of a gimmick.
Are we missing? Oh, we had the weird shoot box.
Match. The tape fist match.
Yeah.
But it was all well done actually, and I didn't feel like there was actually finishes.
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
Do you think that it's well done because they're cherry picking? Do you think they shot all these shows, or do you think they shot 2 of them or 4 of them?
I think they only shot 2 of them because all these matches basically just came from the two shows. Obviously, I would have loved to have seen the entire Minnesota Wrecking Crew show or match because that match looked really good in just what we saw. But I mean, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain to getting to see 13 minutes of a 20-minute match. That 7 minutes was probably a bunch of rest holds or more Arn working the shoulder or nose of. Yeah.
That's them. That's them calling it in the ring after 13 nights. Like they have it mapped out, but they're still they're like we'll finish in there.
I mean, it made sense for that match to go to a draw as it was the number 1 contender match because they didn't want to push either team yet up to facing the Midnight Express.
Yeah.
So I mean, it made total sense. I mean, I didn't have any issue with the finish. The crowd in the first match, even with the fake finish, was completely awesome. Like the ref walking towards Road Warrior with the belt and looking like he's going to grab his hand and be like, yes, you're the winner, and then just yanking his arm down.
I think that I don't think it was on the official video, but the way that this started with it being just into that, I didn't expect to get a match that good.
Exactly.
And the Hawk Flair match was good, and it did play with I'm not super emotionally invested in any of this because it's not happening now. It's all in the past, and it hasn't been sold to me. I wasn't reading a magazine to hear about this or anything. So just watching it cold, I still cared about that match, which is pretty impressive.
Exactly.
So anytime whether the wrestling, whether it's a wrestling match or not, whether the wrestling is good or bad, as soon as I start to care is when it's good for me. I think that's why I like the WrestleMania 2 Animal Macho Man, is because it was not a wrestling match, but
it told a story.
But it told a story that I enjoyed and I cared about, and I wasn't that I didn't check out. I didn't pull out my phone. I was watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you watch a technical match and it doesn't matter because you don't care about either of the people.
It's true.
So
it's true.
And I think that's what's great about wrestling, is that it's not always about skill, and for the most part, that's what I'm most interested in. But it doesn't always have to be that.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? There. All right. Fuck you.
Well, I think it's time to smark it up. So, what do you think some of the best moments of this pay-per-view were?
Oh, man, honestly, I'm trying to think. What's my least? I'm trying to go backwards. What's my least favorite? My least favorite might be.
Okay, so we're gonna do most disappointed first.
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm just working backwards.
I wish they would have, for an edited video, I wish they would have shown a little bit less of the Shaska and Jimmy Valiant match, because there was a lot of times I felt like Jimmy was hulking up.
Yeah.
And then he would just get hit, and it was like, okay, well.
Oh, yeah. It's like, well, there's no tension there.
And then all of a sudden, it was like one move at the very end. He gets the glove, hits Shaska, and the match is over.
Yeah, I really liked the Flair. It's Hawk, right?
Yeah, Road
Flair,
Warrior Hawk.
I liked Flair Hawk. The hair matches I could do without. Honestly, even the taped fist match was fun.
I mean, literally, I think my least favorite match was that Shaska
Yeah.
Jimmy Valiant match.
No, I would put that. I think that I may have liked that more than the first steel cage match, which was it had TA in it, but why wasn't it just? It seemed it was a lot of people in the ring to do really nothing.
I can see that.
And I could have. That was the one where I was like, ugh, okay.
But the Midnight Express and Magnum TA and Dusty Rhodes are great. I mean, I know
Yeah.
Dusty doesn't do a whole lot in the match,
But he's
Magnum TA
Rhodes, yeah.
Magnum TA is selling like a madman in that match.
No, he's great.
I like the match. I mean, that's probably on the lower half of these matches as
The
well.
best of 7 was up there.
Best of like
This
we said.
Is this the best NWA show we've watched so far?
I think it's probably my favorite
NWA
show
we've watched so far, and that's kind of crazy. The Dusty Flair, I would think
it might be my second favorite show that we've watched so far.
Oh, really?
Together.
So what is the first one?
Wrestling Classic.
At least we can agree on that. Thank God. I love the Wrestling Classic.
How about best performer? I'm gonna go Flair.
Are you gonna wait? It's Ric Flair. So
I mean,
I'm not gonna argue.
I mean,
that.
TA would be up there as well because TA sold for Nikita, like awesome in that best of 7 match. He sold for the Midnight Express in that tag match that we saw. TA's great.
Yeah,
I mean, and I think this might be one of the last times.
But
that we get to see
what
him.
about Tully Blanchard? I know his performance was good.
Tully was great. Yes, yeah. I agree. I do not hate that taped fist match as much as you probably think I do.
I don't. I should hate it, but I don't.
Exactly. The idea of it and what actually came. I was like, at first, I was like, "What is this?" And then, like, the more I got into it, I was like, "Okay."
It's like I see what you're.
I like
doing.
this.
Yeah.
Like, because Garvin was just throwing punches like a madman. And Tully was selling the crap out of it.
Yeah, I mean, he just sold. I'd like to, I cannot allow the time for this in my life, but Piper Mr. T and the Tully Garvin, like, watch them back to back, like, which one's better?
I'd prefer to watch the Garvin Tully match over again.
I think that's how I feel, but I enjoyed both of them considering that I enjoyed them. They sucked, but I liked them. You know what I mean? It's
I think the thing, Piper is definitely the best out of all those guys in selling stuff and like getting over something. But Mr. T drags that match so far down, and the lack of keeping it kayfabe basically in that 4th round of that match where they're just throwing haymakers and it's obvious that they're not hitting each other.
Yeah, well, I mean the taped hand match or whatever the fuck you want to call it isn't sold as a boxing match, so it's kind of like nobody knows what the hell is going on, so you can kind of get away with more. Exactly. They gave themselves some leeway, but I think that the Tully Blanchard performance deserves a nod.
I would definitely say that match is probably my most surprising that I liked it.
Yeah,
I mean, if I don't want to go with it, that I liked a Jimmy Valiant match because I liked him versus Paul. I mean, sure, it was like 4 minutes long because of the editing and everything.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great with all the run-ins. It was telling that story, and it made complete sense.
There wasn't any performances here that I think that I flat out hated.
No, definitely not.
It was all fine, and like I think that it was. I mean, obviously, it's not one show, but. Maybe
it's one videotape that we watched.
Yeah, it's one of the more. I think that it's one of the more enjoyable NWA shows we watched.
What did David Crockett call it at the very beginning? The greatest wrestling video on the market today. I would love the shit out of that video back in 1986 because guess what? It's 2019, and I still really like this video. Yeah,
it was good. I'm behind this show. I don't have anything. 100%. I don't have anything terrible to say about it. 100p.
And now a look back even farther into the history of wrestling.
The dusty finish.
Even by the time that Frank Gotch and George Hackenschmidt had their second match, there were already rumors about the legitimacy of professional wrestling. But the appearance of legitimacy was a huge part of that appeal. The matches themselves, even if they weren't legit, were wrestled as if they were, which caused a slow, methodical pace, which in turn meant matches could last for hours with sudden anticlimactic finishes. Professional wrestling had yet to be optimized for maximum entertainment value. Frank Gotch would retire after holding the belt for 5 years, and in his time, no new stars had risen to take his place. On top of that, the United States entered World War I in 1917, depriving wrestling of funds, interest, and young men to compete. To survive, the one true sport would have to evolve.
Bum, ba-na-na. Sorry.
Do you not like the cliffhangers?
No, I do like the cliffhanger. It just, like, for some reason that just came to me. I just had to... sometimes the John Cena thing just pops in my head. Because what a good theme.
It is a good theme.
Yeah. It's
not my favorite.
It sounds like... Wait, it's not my favorite at all. But it just kind of sounds like a pause screen from, like, a Sonic the Hedgehog game. You know what I mean? It's like... It's just in your head. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of an earworm.
So, next week, we got the big event.
So it's called the big event?
It's called the big event.
Is it an NWA?
It's a WWE, WWF show. It was actually like it was like a house show that was held in Toronto.
In your house.
They filmed it and released it.
On tape?
On tape. And
so it's not an actual pay-per-view?
It was put on the pay-per-view section of the WWE network.
We're like, fine.
Sure, why not?
How long is it?
I think it's a couple hours, probably.
Like 7 hours?
Something like that.
If it's 7 hours, I'm tapping out.
But we're going to watch WrestleMania, you know.
I mean, but WrestleMania, I'll have, like, beer and chicken wings.
That's true. So the music from this week's show comes from the Great American Bash intro that we saw in the video. Dusty's the winner of the main event, so he gets his music played. You can't judge a book by its cover, by Hank Williams Jr. and Huey Lewis.
Wait, so it's Hank Williams Jr. and Huey Lewis are both attributed to that song?
Yes.
Like they recorded that song together?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they wrote it, but that's the version that I...
But it's them, like, together performing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to rate us, review us, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or hopefully I'm wherever you found your podcast app, because if you found us, that means we're on there. So let us know what you think about us. Give us a good rating, 5 stars, please, so more people can find us. Let other people know about us. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything at all, you can always email us at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com, or you can always find us on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTOX. And we'll talk to you next week.